this country. Dr. Kathleen Dooling is with the CDC.
Healthcare personnel are defined as essential workers, paid and unpaid, serving in healthcare settings who have the potential for direct or indirect exposure to patients or infectious materials.
Dooling describing Phase 1, which will include healthcare personnel and residents of long-term care facilities. The Massachusetts legislature overnight sent a police reform and accountability bill to Governor Charlie Baker's desk. The measure there requires police officers to undergo standardized training and testing. A commission will oversee investigations into officer misconduct. Former FBI Director James Comey has a new gig, professor of law at the Columbia University Law School. Hewlett-Packard Enterprises is leaving Northern California, moving fully to Texas. Texas Governor Greg Abbott made the announcement yesterday that the information technology company is abandoning California. This year is the worst for drownings on Lake Michigan in the past decade since the Great Lakes Surf Rescue Project began tracking. 57 have drowned in the lake, 23 alone in the Chicago area. And Illinois lawmakers want more answers about the coronavirus deaths at State Veterans Home in LaSalle. At least 28 vets who lived at that home have died from the virus. Republicans say Governor Pritzker's administration has been scandalously slow to respond to the outbreak and has failed to protect the state's most vulnerable veterans. The news, a service of Ace, the helpful place. Right now, get free assembly and delivery on all grills and accessories, $3.99 and up. For the best help on the best grills, stop by your local Ace. For Ace Rewards members, valid through December 24th, see participating stores for scheduling or exclusions. 7:35, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher has the president's back.
The bottom line is this president was loyal and fought for the American people for 4 years. If you are in the mood to abandon him now, you knock yourself out. But for me, I'm going to stick with the American president who has accomplished so much in such a short period of time.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Burdick Insurance Services can save you up to 50% on your healthcare costs right now. Hi, I'm Wayne Burdick. Health insurance is all I do, helping my clients find affordable answers for over 30 years. I know searching for health insurance plans can be confusing and frustrating. I know it's never been harder to find affordable health insurance coverage. I'm here to help you, listeners of AM 560. Answer these two questions. Do you need health insurance but don't qualify for the Affordable Care Act subsidies? Are you relatively healthy? If you answered yes, then let me save you up to 50% now. Burdick Insurance Services specializes in lower cost plans. Stop overpaying. Call me, Wayne Burdick, for a free quote, 847-274-5918, or visit lowercosthealthplans.com. I promise to find the right health insurance plan for you and one you can afford. Call me today, 847-274-5918, or visit lowercosthealthplans.com.
There are a lot of tough questions when thinking about caring for aging parents or loved ones. Most importantly, can they stay safe at home? With Home Care Angels Home Services, they can. Home Care Angels has been caring for seniors in their homes with compassionate and holistic non-medical care for the past 15 years. The Home Care Angel caregivers are certified in dementia care, COVID-19, and in-home care. You'll get highly qualified caregivers carefully selected for your loved ones to help with activities of daily living, meal prep, light housekeeping, or 24/7 live-in care. Due to COVID-19, they've taken extra precautions and implemented protocols consistent with CDC guidelines to ensure the quality and safety of all their clients. Home Care Angels is in Des Plaines, Illinois, and services all of Chicagoland and the suburbs. To request a free in-home assessment, call 847-824-5221. That's 847-824-5221. Home Care Angels is a proud member of the Home Care Association of America.
Get the rest you deserve with Helix Sleep. Helix makes personalized mattresses to fit your unique body type and sleep preferences and give you the best sleep of your life. Go to helixsleep.com and get up to $200 off mattress orders.
7:38. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time and Jim.
Northbound Tri-State on the ramp to the Adams Tollway, I-90. There is a crash blocking the right lane on that ramp, heading from northbound 294 to the Adams Tollway. Farther south, traffic's a little congested as usual between the Reagan Tollway and the Eisenhower. Inbound Kennedy, it's still 20 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, outbound 20 as well. On Eisenhower with minimal congestion, 29 minutes, 390 to downtown, outbound 28. Inbound Stevenson, delays start around Ashland, 30 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. The Ryan clocks in at 24 minutes, 95th to downtown after a couple of earlier crashes. I-57, 16 minutes, I-80 to the Verge, Bishop Ford 13. Outbound, the entry from Stony Island is blocked. That's traffic. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next in our AM 560 Weather Center. Sunny to partly cloudy. Milder day ahead, high 45. Currently 25 degrees. Your next news update is at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
Listen to AM 560, The Answer, online at 560theanswer.com, on the AM 560 mobile app, on your Alexa-powered smart speaker, on TuneIn, iHeart, and radio.com. If you're looking for the latest news, insight into what it means, and the sharpest opinion, there's only one station in Chicago where you can turn, and it's this one. We're AM 560, The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy. Captain Kangaroo impersonator Janet Yellen, who is Joe Biden's selection for Secretary of Treasury, was part of the rollout of the Biden economic team yesterday.
So exciting.
Here's what she had to say about her focus as potential Treasury Secretary.
Racial disparities in pay, job opportunities, housing, food security, and small business lending that deny wealth building to communities of color. Gender disparities that keep women out of the workforce and keep our economy from running at full force. It's a convergence of tragedies.
And Janet Yellen would, or I guess the NASDAQ, second largest exchange in the world, was happy to fold right in with the identitarians that Joe Biden is nominating, asking the SEC to impose a quota system on the boards of companies it lists on its exchange. The new rule mandating, if adopted by the SEC, would mandate that corporate boards of listed companies have a minimum of one female director and one director who is a minority or LGBTQ.
So it would require all companies on the exchange to disclose the race, gender, and sexual orientation of their board members.
And
are you kidding me?
If you are not making the progress that the NASDAQ demands with respect to the quote-unquote diversity of your board, then you can face public shaming and potentially delisting. It's worth noting.
Big government, Dan?
It doesn't need to be big government. It's big corporate America. They don't need any prompting from government. That's the kicker, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it is worth noting, as Zero Hedge noted, there is no requirement currently that members of the boards of these companies actually be able to read a balance sheet. But that's a minor matter.
LGBTQ member.
You're right. Your identity is, of course, what's compelling about being put in a position of a fiduciary of a publicly traded company. Okay, sure. It's sort of a remarkable development, but is it so remarkable? Now, I wonder here the question. Now, would these groups be considered minorities? They are minorities. What's a minority? It's not the majority.
Right.
It's a minority group that represents a minority percentage of the population, right? Well, our friend Mark Perry, economics professor over at the University of Michigan, makes the put up a little chart that's worth looking at. Median earnings for full-time year-round female workers.
Okay.
By ethnicity and ancestry group. This is last year. Median earnings for full-time year-round female workers. Asian Indian Americans, 75.9. Taiwanese American, 78. Turkish American females, 67. Iranian American female, 64. Chinese American, 62. Lebanese American, $61,000. Median household income. Russian American, $61,000. Slovene Americans, 60,000. Lithuanian Americans, 60,000.
Going around
Armenian
the world,
Americans, 60,000. Japanese Americans, 60,000. Korean Americans, 60,000. Ukrainian Americans, 59,000. Palestinian Americans, females, 58,000. Slovak Americans, 57,000. Those are all women of those ethnicities. The median income. You know what the median income for white male Americans is? 57,000. It is lower than all of those groups that I just mentioned of female workers. So if I have a Lebanese American female on my board, is that a minority? A Turkish American female? A Chinese American female? Ukrainian American female? Korean American female? I want to get into the weeds on this.
Somebody needs to be gay.
Let's have a conversation. Let's also have a conversation. Well, right. Let's also have a conversation about the white male patriarchy while we're at it. Given the median household earnings, or median, I should say, median earnings of women in these categories compared to the median earnings of a white male in America. Oh, and by the way, part of the Biden economic team turns out to be a couple of 3 Republican senators in the United States Senate, led by, of course, Mitt Romney, who, along with Susan Collins and Lisa Murkowski, folded in with a Democrat plan for COVID relief that includes re-upping unused dollars from the CARES Act to be used for this latest round of relief. Think about that. During the height of the COVID outbreak, not all of the, for example, payroll protection money that was allocated
Was used.
after the second allocation, at least, was used. But now we're going to send it back out again. The government can't give away free money. That's how good the government is. In addition to state and localities being bailed out. Mitt Romney on the dais.
COVID has created a crisis. And in a crisis, the people expect Congress to act. And this group has come together to propose action that could respond to this crisis. We've got people unemployed. We've got businesses shutting down. We've got states and localities getting ready for layoffs of large numbers of people. It's simply unacceptable for us not to respond to help in this circumstance.
Romney characterized himself as a deficit hawk. And how do you know he's a deficit hawk? They're only proposing $1 trillion in funny money as opposed to Nancy Pelosi's $2 trillion. That's how you know somebody's a deficit hawk in D.C. For more on all of this, we're pleased to be joined by Steve Moore, Wall Street Journal columnist, economist, author of Trumponomics. Steve, starting with the Mitt Romney Democrat compromise COVID relief package, what do you think?
Well, good morning, guys. Well, my initial takeaway from that is, thank God that Mitt Romney was never president of the United States. I mean, we dodged a real bullet there. I mean, every day that goes by, I think that Mitt Romney is just a fraud. I don't even know what the guy stands for. By the way, of all the states that don't need federal assistance right now, Utah, I mean, I was just in Salt Lake a few weeks ago. Utah is booming. In fact, that's the reason why we don't need a stimulus, is that half of the states in the country are up and running. They're doing fine. They've balanced their budget. They're back to near full employment. It's, as I've said many times on the show, right, and I hate to say it, but it's California, it's New York, it's New Jersey, it's Connecticut, it's Massachusetts, it's Illinois. Gee, what do all those states have in common? Well, they're run by Democrats who shut down their economy. So we don't need another stimulus bill. This is so outrageous that they're talking about another $1 trillion. Well, Pelosi wants $2 to $3 trillion of spending. The economy is actually doing really well right now. The unemployment rate fell to below 7% last month. It's probably going to fall some more when we get the report on Friday. You know what the latest, Dan, you know what the latest forecast is for the GDP growth in the fourth quarter of this year?
What?
11%. 11% on top of the 33% growth we had in the in the third quarter. Nobody expected that, by the way. All these whiz kid economists say, "Oh, we need another stimulus bill." They all thought the unemployment rate today would be, 12 or 13%. We've got it below 7%. All of these economic geniuses in Washington, they didn't think we'd have an unemployment rate of less than 7% until 2022. So we don't need another economic stimulus bill. What we need, we need obviously the vaccine. That is the stimulus, by the way. I was just on Fox News a half hour ago saying, You want a stimulus? Get this vaccine out there so we can get people immunized and we can get the economy rolling again. There is no amount of checks that the federal government can write, and there's no amount of dollar bills that the Federal Reserve Board can print that can make up for the fact that these mayors and governors are shutting down businesses. If businesses aren't flowing and customers aren't coming in the door, you can't make up for that by just having the government write checks.
It's interesting. It seems like perhaps, and by the way, what Romney and the Democrats proposed yesterday was DOA, according to Mitch McConnell in the Senate.
I hope so. Did he say that?
That's what I'm fairly certain I read that from McConnell.
Okay.
Yes.
I mean, he keeps saying, and I like Mitch McConnell, but what I heard him say is maybe this is a good start. We'll take this under consideration. Folks, we don't need another dollar of government spending.
Well, right. You say that, but there's a lot of businesses in Illinois.
$4 trillion this year.
No, McConnell wants to do something. You're right about that, and I think he's just sort of giving a soft dismissal of what Romney and the Democrats proposed, perhaps in part because a quarter of what they proposed is state and local government bailouts, and
exactly. The big blue state
that's a problem. Yeah.
And, by the way, my buddy Casey Mulligan at University of Chicago and I have looked at the unemployment, insurance, and we estimate that if they do another $300 a week, by the way, just to give you guys a sense of how crazy that is, we did $600 additional unemployment benefits, through July. And now the kind of compromise is $300 a week extra benefits. Do you know how much? I'll give each of you $1 if you can get this one right. Do you know what the extra benefits were in 2009? During the financial crisis, we provided additional unemployment benefits. You know how much they were?
$0.
$25.
Oh,
now we're doing $300.
Dan didn't even play, so I get the dollar.
Half of the people who are unemployed, half of the unemployed workers in America would get more money taking unemployment insurance plus the extra $300 a week than going back on a job. How crazy is that?
Wow. Well, I mean, what are restaurants and bar owners to do here? I mean, so many people are unemployed in Illinois just because that's a big booming industry, as you know, in Chicago.
Of course it is.
And I mean, does your heart ache a little bit for those people?
Of course
Stephen
it
Moore?
does. I mean, yes. I'm not trying to be cold-hearted here. I mean, my God, what the government has done to our businesses is reprehensible. I mean, J.B. Pritzker, how in the world do you elect someone like that? How do you elect Lightfoot or whatever their name is? I mean, all they do is shut down businesses. They don't know anything about it. And they say, oh, well, businesses can be open 30% or 40%. It's like, how can a company make money if it only has 30 to 40% of its customers? But politicians don't know the answer to that because they've never run a business. So, yes, of course, I think that if we want to blame here, blame the politicians and get going. I mean, why are schools still shut down in Illinois?
Yes.
Well, why?
And because the number of cases are increasing, even some private schools are like, oh, we'll just take a precaution. We'll shut down until after Christmas. That's what a lot of Catholic schools and private schools are doing, too. And it makes no sense.
I think it is outrageous. Look, obviously people have to be safe. I'm not diminishing the severity of the health crisis, but the one lesson we've learned over the last 9 months, Rovers love to talk about following the science. The science is very clear that lockdowns of businesses and schools and playgrounds and parks does not reduce the spread of this virus. I mean, the evidence is crystal clear on that. And by the way, schools, everybody agrees that there's virtually no risk to children going to school. And yet we still shut them down.
Well, part of this, I think, too, is this belief that the government can replace the market economy. And so
exactly.
And Whole Foods CEO John Mackey has weighed in a way I wish more Republicans would, characterizing socialism as trickle-up poverty and characterizing capitalism as the greatest thing humanity's ever done. He writes, though, we've been told a bad narrative. We've let the enemies of business and the enemies of capitalism put out a narrative about us that's wrong. From an ethical standpoint, we need to change the narrative of capitalism to show that it's about creating shared value, not for the few, but for everyone. And in point of fact, I go further and say that the command-control economy that the other side wants, and some Republicans seem amenable to, is the opposite of that. That's about shared value for the few at the expense of the everyone. And there's just not enough Republicans making the moral case for capitalism, in my view.
So this is a great point, and it gets to the question that Amy was just asking me. Do you care about these people? Hell yes, I care about the people. The businesses and the workers who can't go to their jobs and can't get a paycheck. And what's really amazing is the left puts out all this stuff. Oh, the victims of the virus are the lowest income people. They're the people who are suffering the most. Yeah, they are, because whenever you suspend capitalism and the free market, who are the first people, Dan, and they need to get laid off? The poor, the minorities, the people who are least skilled. The very people the Democrats say they stand for are the ones who are getting clobbered here, as well as the small businesses. I don't know if you saw what came out by CNBC. I think it came out on Tuesday or Monday. They did a survey of 2,000 small business owners. Do you know what happened last week to small business confidence? It fell to its lowest level ever since CNBC started doing that survey. And gee, what a shock. That happened 2 weeks after the election of Joe Biden, because Biden's agenda is very hostile to small business. By the way, it's very friendly to big corporate America. Corporate America gave all their money to the Democrats, but the small businesses are the ones who get creamed. The restaurants and the little stores that you're talking about, Amy, those are the victims.
Steve Moore, Wall Street Journal columnist, economist, and author of Trumponomics. Steve, thanks for joining us.
Okay, guys, have a great week. Take care.
You too, and he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
If your passion is in design and innovation, Northwestern University's Master of Product Design and Development